Have you ever wondered about the fierce warriors who sailed the seas, their longships cutting through the waves? We're talking about the Norsemen, better known as the Vikings. Their era, roughly from 800 to 1050 AD, was a time of immense change, exploration, and conflict. The story begins in Scandinavia, but forget the modern maps of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Back then, the countries we know today hadn't yet formed. Instead, scattered communities shared a common culture, from the design of their homes and tools to the intricate jewelry they wore. A distinct Viking identity stretched across the land. This shared way of life is why we can call this period the Viking Age. Of course, life wasn't the same for everyone. Scandinavia is a vast and varied region. Imagine the stark contrast between the icy, rugged terrain of northern Norway and the fertile farmlands of southern Denmark. The geography dictated everything. People had to be resourceful, adapting their survival strategies to the local environment. Their main job, putting food on the table, farming, fishing, hunting, and foraging were the rhythm of their daily lives. These communities were masters of self-sufficiency. They cultivated what they could, caught what swam in the rivers and seas, and expertly crafted tools from whatever raw materials were available. This incredible resourcefulness wasn't just about survival. It was the very foundation of their strength and success. In many ways, their ability to provide for themselves would be the envy of our modern world. So, if life at home was so established, why did they leave? This question is one of history's great debates. The old idea that they were forced out by overpopulation and a lack of land doesn't really hold up. Studies show there was plenty of land to go around in Scandinavia. A more likely reason lies in politics and power. Imagine you're a local chief. A more powerful ruler is trying to unite the territory, consolidating his power and threatening your independence. What do you do? For many, the answer was to look across the sea for new opportunities, new lands to rule, and a new destiny. It was a high-stakes gambler, but for these ambitious aristocrats, it was a risk worth taking. And so, they set sail. Their journeys took them across Europe and beyond. They settled in Britain, Ireland, the Scottish Isles, and around the Baltic Sea. But their arrival wasn't always peaceful. In well-defended regions like England and Ireland, there were decades of intense raids before any permanent Viking settlements were established. In other places, like the Scottish Isles, settlement happened much more quickly, sometimes through agreements, but often by simply taking the land. Let's talk about the raids. While we can debate why they settled, we know exactly why they raided. For profit, coastal towns and trading centers like Portland in England or Dorestad on the Rhine River were prime targets. These hubs of commerce were overflowing with goods and wealth, making them irresistible to opportunistic Viking raiders. But there was another, even more lucrative target: monasteries. These religious sites weren't just places of worship. They were economic centers, storehouses of agricultural wealth, and hubs for luxury goods like wine and fine textiles. On top of that, local lords often used churches as a kind of safe deposit box for their own portable treasures. So, when a Viking longship appeared on the horizon, a raid on a monastery was like hitting the jackpot. The Vikings were not just brute force raiders. They were cunning strategists. They quickly learned that they could make even more money through blackmail. They would seize precious, beautifully decorated manuscripts and Bibles from the monasteries, and then ransom them back to the religious communities. A famous example is the Codex Aureus, a stunning gospel book. An inscription tells us that an Anglo-Saxon nobleman and his wife paid a hefty price in pure gold to get it back after a Viking attack on Canterbury. It was a ruthless but highly effective business model. Beyond raiding and settling, the Vikings were also incredible traders. They established a vast and sophisticated trade network that was truly global for its time. It stretched from the Volga River in the east to Newfoundland in the west, from Greenland in the north to Byzantium. Istanbulin. In the south, they had connections that reached into the Middle and Far East. Archaeological finds from the Viking city of Jorvik, which you can visit today at the Jorvik Viking Center in York, paint a vivid picture of this global network. Artifacts discovered there came from as far away as Norway, Germany, the Baltic region, Uzbekistan, and even the Red Sea. The Vikings weren't just warriors. They were connectors, bridging worlds and cultures through their unparalleled seafaring and commercial spirit. Their legacy is not just one of conquest, but of a complex and far-reaching society that forever changed the course of history. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back to the age of the Vikings. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the past. We'll see you next time.